I think something that I've been thinking about a lot is what it means to be a friend, what it means to have friendships and relationships in general, right? Like your family and people that you date, and of course your friends and acquaintances and coworkers. I'm like, there's all these different lines that you can draw. I like to call them circles. You have a Venn diagram, right? You have maybe some coworkers, and you might be friends with them, but maybe not all of them. And you have some friends that might jump down into acquaintances. You have some friends that were acquaintances, and maybe you flip flop back and forth. You have some people that are like family to you. You have your actual family, and you have an intersection of both people, of all these people that you would consider your family, supposing you had the ability to choose. And it was really good literature review out there, synthesis research regarding all the different ways and forms that we can categorize what we consider to be family, what people would call their family, and all this stuff is great. But in particular, what has been bothering me is what am I looking for in a friend and who do I want to be for that friend? And the reason I have categorized this in a weird way, in which it's not like a piece of advice, it's not necessarily uh, something which I'm super angry with society, or something that I think should be talked about more. That's usually what my crash outs are for. I put this under story time check in because it's just something that I've been thinking about. And this is what this channel is all about. I kind of just say the things that I am thinking about. So, with that being said, I think where I started this was the first time I ever experienced like the true loss of a friend. I mean, you in elementary school, in kindergarten, hopefully you had friends. And when you interact with those friends, some people you get really close with, some people you only have in certain contexts. So like, there's some people which I only played sports with. There's other people that I just knew through the sports that I played with at recess. I wouldn't call them my friend. I didn't really know them. There's people that you talk to in your classrooms. Me personally, I tried not to talk to people very much in the classrooms. And there's people that you go out of your way to spend time with and hang out with. And those are the people that I would consider my friends. Like, for a very long time, my classifier for what a friend was somebody that I would go out of my way to go see. Somebody who I'm ending up at their house. Somebody who I'm going to their birthday party. Somebody who is, the guy you talk to after you just finish a soccer game. Right? So these are who I would consider friends. And talking to people was something that was very special to me as a kid. It's still very special to me now. Very remarkable to just have a conversation, share words, share thoughts, and develop a bond through this language that we all have and all of our different perspectives on what we think language means. I still find that to be something incredibly remarkable. But getting back on track, first time I lost a friend, I had some people move away. They weren't particularly remarkable to me. I had some people that I grew closer to, grew further away from. I wouldn't consider that losing a friend because you can always reconnect with them and they're accessible and it's easy. But it was my homeboy. We didn't have that term when I think I was in fourth grade at the time, and he moved away. And this is someone who was a part of my core friend group. Like, these are the people that you played video games with after school. These are the people that you played wall ball and foursquare with, and you're always going out to go hang out with them. And if you could end up at their house, if you could have a play date, you would do it. And this is just tall guy, first of all. For elementary school, bro was already 5 feet tall, white dude, skinny, brown hair, brown eyes. Just kidding. More sensual as I talk about him. And just the nicest dude. And I fortunately actually had the chance to reconnect with him a little bit because somebody at my college happened to go community college with this guy. He moved to SoCal. And talking to this guy, I'm like, he's the same dude. Just super nice guy, great with the ladies, just a great friend overall, exactly what you'd ask for, not too overbearingly athletic, definitely not disabled either, generally good at video games, didn't rage very often, and if he did, you were probably a bad person. I remember bullying this guy a lot, and by bullying I mean physically punching him, treating him as a punching bag at a time, and he's really just the nicest, greatest dude, and I have no clue why he would ever put up with me and my very angry, young, dramatic Asian life as a wee lad. But yeah, this guy, amazing dude. And it really hurt when he left. He left. He's now in SoCal, but he originally left to go to the East Coast. His dad, something to do with his jobs. I know it was adjacent to military, I believe. And you know, when you're an elementary schooler, you don't have the means to go out of your your way to connect with people. Back then, I think internet was still being developed. You have a very scary time. Of course, you didn't want your kids on the internet. Man, I like didn't get my phone. Like I didn't get a proper phone until like maybe I would say seventh grade, and even then, like I wasn't allowed to to use it without like parental controls until high school. So I was basically like I had games and screen time, and that was about it. And same thing goes with like the Xbox. Like that was like how I connected with these people. Like I just loved playing video games with these people all the time, but not having that guy at recess, like of course you forget it, but it hurt at the time. And it was I remember crying distinctly seeing his big family van all packed away, and it was all dramatic, and it's like not the last day of school, but one of the last days of school, and you're seeing them all pack up and leave, and it was like wow, you know, like that hurt. And the way that I decided to process the grief at the time was to just make super intentional effort like with my friends and to also like always like be on the game and like hang out with him, and it was like he didn't really leave, because we still got to like the big part of it is like we still got to play like video games together, but he's just not at recess the next day. He's not in your classrooms, your friends are talking about him, you're all like really sad, the friends get along a little different because he's just not in that dynamic. He was always a good like mediator, you know people are fighting each other, he just like calms people down. Super reasonable guy, smart too. Like you just feel that there's something missing in your friend group. And honestly, after he left, our friend group started to fall apart. We went into middle school at the time, and one of my friends went more into like the theater kid route. I know I went sort of started surrounding myself with Asian people. It was very strange how how I kind of just got absorbed into an Asian friend group, and some of the people that I played video games with started to like intermix, and like that's how I ended up with the Asians. It's like some of them were the Asian friends that were all from like a different elementary school, and then we played video games together, and I started getting more into sports. So I started getting surrounded by the sports crowd and Asian people, and these guys were left with the theater and gaming, which I started to have less and less time for, and we slowly like grew apart. And I didn't even find out that this guy had come back to California, and for till years later, he's still in SoCal to this day, and hoping to reconnect. But the main takeaway that I got at that time is that like, well, you didn't really know how to process the grief. You just did as good as you could to hold on to what was lost. And when I reflect on that time, and I think of it to be a simpler time, I found that very valuable, that I had that clarity to very distinctly say, I'm like, oh, I want to spend more time with this person, and I want to connect with this person. And you kind of just have to accept that life pulls you apart. But even to this day, I still want to make that effort to go see that person. So that original data point, let's call it, of I want to go out of my way to spend time with this individual, and I would be happy spending time with this individual, but they're not necessary to my life. Important data point. Because to me, I feel like my family is fundamental. I'd drop anything for my family. Like that's the hope, right? And of course, it's like you gotta get the bird out of the nest. They have to grow their own wings. They have to do their own things. But I try to make as much time as possible to spend time with my family while they are here, while still adhering to their expectations and my own goals, which is a difficult balance to say the least. But friends aren't essential in that way. I don't expect them to be. I don't expect my closest friends to be the ones that I keep in touch with all the time, even though those would be what I would consider to be my close friends. If somebody tells me like, oh, like who are your friends in this moment, you give them the most relevant answer. Like if I'm at college, like who's your best friend? I'm not gonna tell them, oh, some dude from my high school. I'm just gonna say like, oh, this person that they know, like that's my best friend at college. And for another good amount of time, I considered my best friend the person A, that I knew the longest, and B, that I felt like they were timeless. I felt like no matter what, they'd be nice, they'd be amazing, they'd be the person that I always remember them to be. And this is when you start thinking that I'm autistic. I think humans just like routine in general, but I like consistency to a very aggressive degree, so to speak. And something tells me that this person could tell. This is the person that I would consider my best friend for the longest time, and take a turn into middle school, and this guy comes out as gay. Back then it was a secret. I held a secret all the way through high school actually, and bro like pretty openly was out as gay, but it never became official until we went off to college. But needless to say, this is somebody who I'd known since I was 4. Family's deeply intertwined. Had been to all of this guy's birthdays leading up to around 16, and I would call him my best friend in the whole world. I said he was my number one. Super kind person, just someone you could always talk to, always make you smile, always crack good laughs, good jokes, and I felt very in tune with this person, very long time. And I don't want to say we're inseparable, because our friend groups did start to grow apart throughout elementary school even, but I didn't really understand how that influenced him or why that influenced him. And I'm not going to say that the different friend groups made him gay, but I am going to say that he started to realize some things about himself and then started pursuing that. And without the very oppressive environment that a very normal, I don't want to say normal, that a traditional boy upbringing would have, he was able to blossom into his own being, so to speak. And I remember he had to put up this front with me, always, to be the same dude that he always was. And I never processed that he was doing that until he told me about it. And then said, I'm gay, over text. And it was just I hope you don't see me any differently. I hope you don't think of me any differently, because he knows that I think very highly of him, that I always see him as this very kind and amazing soul. And I was like, whoa. And when you're in middle school, you're low-key homophobic. And you're not homophobic because you actually dislike gay people. You just don't have any experience with them. They're just completely normal people that just happen to have different sexual preferences to you. And when you're in middle school, you don't have sex. So really, this is just a matter of they didn't get crushes on girls and they got crushes on guys instead. That's just what it was for them. And surprisingly, very maturely, middle school me did not immediately default to, you know what, let's switch up on this guy. I don't know this guy. This guy's going to get feelings for me. Let me ostracize him. I was just that's chill. He's like, can you keep a secret? I'm like, yeah. And that was it. And honestly, we were already quote unquote falling out because I wasn't talking to this guy this much at this point, just because we had different friend groups and we had different interests, And it had nothing to do with the gay thing. This guy, always a little larger than me. I really liked the short distance running. He liked the long distance running. He didn't do the sports. I did the sports. And he wasn't much of a nerd. He didn't play the same video games that I did. The big thing that we did is help each other with school, talk about school projects, and overall enjoy each other's company. And then we had a small friend group of Asians at the time. Wasn't many Asians at my elementary school. So y'all were tight knit. You and the Asians, and us goons, we would just, I don't even remember what I did in elementary school. We'd just be up to a whole lot of nothing. We just it was just me and bro talking, and then my 2 other friends were very quiet, and they would just enjoy in the background. I still call these guys my best friends, the other 2, and it's not I had some big dramatic falling out with them, but fast forward to we're 16, and I found out that this guy starts stealing, and he has this whole thrift shop and the slime and whatever. I feel this is getting closer to actually tracing who this person is, if you know me, unfortunately. But he's doing a lot of entrepreneurial stuff. Awesome, amazing. I bought some slime. It was great. It's kind of gross. Honestly, I made it very gross. But couldn't be nothing but proud of him, and I was supporting him, and I found out that I was that I was supporting a stolen business. That didn't really sit with me the right way. I'm I always saw this guy as a very upstanding individual. I started to hear a little bit more drama, a little bit lore about him, how he seems very fake and two-faced. And this really sucked for me in my own selfish way. But this is my selfish channel where I talk about myself. But this guy's always treated me amazing. And it sucked hearing all of these things in which people didn't like him. Because I'm I love this guy, man. I would never tell him that. I still haven't told him that to this day, that this is my guy. And you know what, I would still love to support him, but he's honestly filthy rich and at a great college and doing great for himself. But this was a second turning point in my friends where I was just you start to pick sides. What side are you on? Are you willing to associate your identity with this individual? And I never thought that this was a very significant thing until I know I made a video on this where I talked about all my friends switching up on me for just being associated with somebody who was alleged to have been like a predator or like a pervert. I think not predator because they were also underage, but pervert, so to speak. Allegedly upskirted people and took pictures, and it was a whole fiasco. They took his computer, they searched his drive, they couldn't find anything. They searched his Google Drive too. Excuse me. And some reason, since I played in the Smash tournament with these guys, and this guy always decided to bother me in computers class, which honestly, they really pissed me off. They were like, oh, you're friends with him. And honestly, at the time, I would consider them a friend. Because I was just like, friends are just people that you talk to. And that you go out of your way to hang out with. And I go out of this way because I wanted to play in this Smash tournament and get Cookie. I wanted Cookie. And I didn't see friends as such like a serious label. But apparently it was. So friends has evolved from just people that you want to go out of your way to talk to. People that you like enjoy spending time with. And then two, I call my best friend somebody who is timeless, somebody who always gives me that comfort, like, mom's home cooking. And three, somebody who you're willing to put your identity on the line for. These are now your LinkedIn connections, your Instagram followers. Like, you are now synonymous with these people. And people don't use the term, like, friend anymore. Like, people don't categorize people like that. Like, it's just an implicit understanding. But in my quote-unquote autistic nature, it's a very intentional effort for me, for someone who I consider a friend, acquaintance, co-worker, and I've getting roasted for this all the time, but this is how I process my world, and it's my worldview. So now we've upgraded to like willing to attach your identity to, and unfortunately, people are going to do that for you, right? They're just gonna say, hey, you were friends with this person in sophomore year of high school, and I'm going to forever see you as the sophomore year of high school version of you. That first impression is going to stick forever. And, that sucks. But that's just another one of those, like, I just can't control how other people think of me. So, I'm getting off track. I've talked about all these things before. But fast forward to I'm now 19. And it is my first summer out of college. And last summer I saw this guy once. I've seen all these story posts of these parties that I get invited to. And these beach retreats. And this guy clearly has a different friend group than me. Yada, yada, yada. And this is post high school, so like I've already like been deemed like a bad person, and a lot of people have told me that I'm a bad person, and that I don't have this good reputation, while simultaneously being like really locked in and good at my grades and a super smart person. And when I see someone drinking, they're like, oh, I hope you don't think of me differently, but like they clearly don't like me. Like, I just don't understand how my reputation was so good and simultaneously like so bad. But needless to say, weird spot that I was in socially, because my previous gay best friend became a very popular individual. Great with the ladies. Great with the leadership. Wow, bro, had such a decorated resume. Got into, I think they were the number one public university. I think they got dethroned. But needless to say, top college. Right, top college in the nation. And, yeah. And he just explicitly tells me, and I'm like talking about like the original 4 Asians that was like my founding friend group. Like, these are the people that I called my best friends, but the other 2 always were on a lower rung than the OG. I've known since 4 years old. I know his entire family. I've been so close to this guy literally my entire life. Someone who I felt like I could tell anything. Somebody who I felt like would tell me anything, which I found out later wasn't true. And somebody who I'd known for their kindness and their respect to me, and somebody who's always supported me, told me I was bugging this guy all summer, trying to figure out his schedule, because he just kept saying he was busy, and I trusted him. I just assumed it was within his best interest. I'm like, sure. I didn't even process that I was like lower priority on the friendship poll. I just assumed that he scheduled that stuff earlier. Told me, I just don't want to hang out with you. And he didn't say it directly to me. He said, I don't want to hang out with the other 2 people that I also wanted to be there. Our fucking best friends when we were like kids, and I'm still friends with these people, and I've maintained this friendship so intentionally throughout the years. And that was just like a spit in my face. And it's like, not to be mean, but I just don't want to hang out with y'all. And that, like, hurt me, you know? Because this, oh my God, like, third time in my life by now that I just completely, boom, friendship gone. Like, I lost a friend group in the past, and that was my gaming friend group, and I just faded over time, and I felt really sad about that. And these people changed a lot as individuals. So by the time I was able to reconnect with them, I could tell that I had changed a lot in a very different direction. And then second time was the big guttle. I think that was my junior year of high school, where one association blew up all my friend groups and all the views of me, and some of the people who like weren't talking to me, they just aren't people who reach out. Didn't even know that this happened, but I've been excommunicado, and other people who would like organize like hangouts with our friend groups like would explicitly go out of their way and tell me or not invite me or uninvite me, which sucked. And the people there didn't know anything about it, and they lie and they just be like, oh, they couldn't make it, which sucked for me. And because these people are just assuming that like shit's sweet, and it's not. And I just been getting cooked for no reason, and that was a very frustrating time of my life, and I'm sure I could talk about it all over again. I'm not going to. But this third time hurt me deep because it was just one friend, right? This is somebody, we did the sports together, actually. So when we were little, we didn't. But when you get older, cross country and track and field kind of have a lot of overlap. So we did those together. And I didn't talk to bro much, but I'm like, that's my guy. Every time I saw him, I'm like, that's my guy. And I said hi, and I put a big smile on my face, even. There's a lot of times do not want to put it on the smile, but I'm like, that's my guy. And I'm like, was all of it fake? Was none of it real? This image of this person that I had in my head all fake? And honestly, it was. And he could tell. And so he wanted to continue to put up that image for me. And he eventually got to the point where he's just like, you know what? I don't want to put the effort in anymore. And I just had to respect that, like friend to friend. I'm like, this is the responsible thing to do. Even though it sucked that it literally took all summer of me like bugging this guy to like hang out for him to like finally come out and just say like, well, I don't want to be friends anymore. I don't even wish this guy happy birthday anymore. You know? And he doesn't wish me happy birthday anymore. But there's a really sad chain of texts of us wishing happy birthday all the way up to 19. And then it's just empty now. And yeah. And that's the wake up call for me, that the quality of friends that feel timeless for me needs to be a mutual effort. That person also, of course, needs to choose you. And that's something that I never really processed or thought about, because like most of the times that like I lost friends, it was always like something really dramatic. Like the friends explicitly say like, oh, we don't choose you. And to me, that was like a mutual effort where I'm like, oh, well, I guess if you think of me this way, I don't want to spend more time with you because like clearly you don't like me. I'm like, that's how it is. But someone who I thought would like always be my friend and always like me, like something which I felt like it wasn't a conditional friendship at that point, suddenly for it to become one, like that kind of opened my eyes. I'm like, oh, there's like never security. Like, you're never going to know for sure. And that's when I'm kind of at a loss, you know, of like what is a friend? Like, it's the same as like a relationship, as a lover. It's the person who chooses you again and again and again and again, and you'll never know for sure. And that's always a continuous effort. So fast forward to this year, where I did the great friend group gutting myself. There was a group of friends that first entire semester that I knew them, I just didn't open up at all. It was strictly business. I wanted to be co-workers because we were working under a club environment, and we all had a clear goal that we wanted to attain, and these goals for ourselves that we wanted to do. And it was great. Honestly, I really enjoyed the work that I did. I was really proud of the events that I put together, the people that I got into the room, and that was it. One random day, we're going on an outing. They had different types of bondings for like clubs. Like usually, like club bonding is like you go to a dinner. We're going on like a Costco run, and for some reason, I'm eating a food that's very nostalgic to me, the Costco chicken bake, and I just start opening up. I start saying some BS. I get called autistic a lot for it. We're doing the stims. I some vocals that I hear from TikTok. I like to like triple snap my hands and clap and whatever, make noise. But this is when they started to see me as more than just a coworker, but like as a human. Like they thought that was someone who was super locked in. There's this other like coworker that we have. This person super good at competitive programming, like top ranked in the nation, and this person's just super locked in. And this person is the actual human. I found out that they have a feelings and completely separate talk that I could have. But at least in this particular moment, this is when I started to get integrated into their friend group. And this is when I found out that the club functioned as like two different friend groups that kind of got merged into this club because all the hires were just like people's friends. And it was weird for people like me to just apply. There wasn't that many of us, like less than like six. And then if you did apply and you passed the vibe check, you just ended up getting integrated into the friend group. And over the next like semester, I end up getting more involved in this friend group. I learn about the drama, the lore, the interactions between people. I start to see things a little bit more clearly. I'm starting getting invited to people's houses, to people's birthday parties, on hikes, on adventures. Like on these people will say like, oh, they want to hang out with me, they really like me, and I start to open up. Right, I start to, in an authentic and a vulnerable way, I start to represent myself as an individual, and what that ends up becoming is I start stepping on people's toes. I came from an environment where I was told that I don't want to say love had to be earned, but respect and friendship was something which was meant to hold people accountable. It was the right type of pressure, and honestly, that kind of broke me down, like as a kid. But it made me do incredibly well in my academics, and I got an incredible amount of support when you looked for it, and I deeply appreciate the friends that got me into the place that I am in today and made me become the person I am today. But that meant that my love language often came across as just stress and pressure and honestly insults and talking trash to people. I'm like, I don't feel right if everything you tell me is like happy dokey. I feel like you are manipulating me. And maybe that's a representation of my own like poor love language. But like my house, my family roast the crap out of me. And I know it comes from a place of love. Because not only are they setting me straight, but they are also supporting me in a way that they know that I can take it and that it'll ultimately build me up. Like, these are good experiences that I've had with my family. This is something that I wanted to extend to others, but something in which I have failed to realize time and time and time again is that you can't treat all people the same, and you can't treat all friends the same. And unfortunately, I want to. And this has ended up in me resulting in some bittersweet friendships with some people. Honestly, a lot of pressure about the drama and the situation within the club of the two friend groups clashing, mostly over one person liking another person unconditionally and the other person being really bad at confrontation and communicating their feelings. Honestly, they tried really hard and it just like never worked out. Sucks for bro. But yeah. And ultimately, I took a step away from that friend group. And it was mostly for my mental health. But I was really trying to develop myself professionally. And in times of professional development, the friend group kind of like blew up on me. And it really stressed me out that particular day. And that's kind of when I decided I'm like, my trial period's over. I feel like I've opened up too much. I feel like I have made myself available as a person in a way that I didn't want to. I've been dragged into drama and people that I didn't want to. And I feel like these are people that I can't get along with. Because the way that I express myself and express my care for people that I want to be friends with, I want to be close friends with, it doesn't get across. And this is a very monumental moment for me because this was the first time that I decided that I wanted to not be friends with someone. There's people that like you would meet and I would never explicitly cut them off, but like I didn't go out of my way to see them, which would put them in the acquaintances bucket instead of the friendship bucket. But I've never explicitly cut people off in this sense until like this moment. And I kind of did when people, started telling me that I was a predator for being associated with somebody who was not confirmed to be a predator, and then stating the obvious, which was that the information is uncertain and maybe we shouldn't give people real life ramifications for things that are uncertain. I'm like, topical. But of course you're going to treat people different for the Epstein files. But there was a case to be made. And when you have a few people looking into something and they've like testified against this person and then the evidence can't be found, What do you want me to do? There's people who talk crap and just lie about people all the time. I'm not going to stand for this. Of giving people real world consequences, like me, who's completely unrelated to the issue, for something which just wasn't real. Right? I don't want to say that like the boy who cried wolf like wasn't real, because it's a very real like sexual assault problem. But I am unrelated to the issue, and I shouldn't be facing consequences for somebody else's issue. And that kind of pissed me off. So, whew, wow. Side tangent. Never resolved this, by the way, if you couldn't tell. I will forever be angry about the way these people treated me. And honestly, I've cut a lot of them off. And that happened after I decided to cut off this like college friend group that honestly meant a lot to me over the past year. And that was a weird decision for me because it hurt me. It honestly hurt me because I valued these people and I really hope for them to get better. And I tried to provide support in the only way that I knew. And that was by talking crap. And that was being like, okay, you're like Debbie Downer again. Or, okay, bro, avoidant attachment. Or hopeless romantic, needs to give up on the relationships. Like, I give these not so subtle hints, attacking directly into their insecurities. And that makes nobody feel good. It's not supposed to make you feel good. You shouldn't be proud of continuing to do the same problems over and over again and knowing better and making no steps to be better. And I think the main thing that like really ticked me off about this particular group of friends, and which is why I didn't want to do it anymore, is because these people would drink and then open up to me and then tell me that I wasn't supposed to hear that and to forget about it, which really sucks as a friend because you know that there are other people who did hear about it because those people are helping you to keep the secret. And now I've kind of been thrust into this weird position where I know more than I should on both sides. I was kind of like trying to mediate between the two friend groups. And I, first of all, didn't want to. I came into this club for professional development, but also I felt very like uncomfortable. Because what does that mean as a friend? Of course you know other people better, and of course you're going to tell some things to some people that you aren't going to tell other people. Like, I get uncomfortable when people start telling me like specific details about the relationship, and I've known both the girlfriend and the boyfriend way before any of them started. And I'm like, ooh, because like I am friends with both of you and I don't want to get in between you two, you know? So there's that. And that's kind of what it felt like. I'm like, I know a lot about y'all as people, and I've spent a lot of time with y'all as friends, and there's a clear hierarchy, of course, of your friends, and I'm witnessing it in real time, but you simultaneously both want me to be within this inner circle and then don't want me to be within the circle. And that sucks for me because what do I do as a friend? And it just felt like every time I'm in conversation, I'm failing to hit a quick time event. I'm seeing these interactions happen in real life. I want to support. I want to help my friends, and I just can't. And I like to be useful. I like to be wanted. I like to be seen. And I was doing a whole lot of none of that. I just honestly felt like I was like autistic and mentally deranged, and that I had a problem for stuff that wasn't my problem, but it was, because this is our workplace environment, and these are friends that I care about, and I don't want to care about them anymore. And then completely transparent sense, I don't want to continue to make this effort to be in this friend group that doesn't seem to want me in it, and that does not respond well to the way that I express myself authentically. And when I try to take a step back and call them coworkers and acquaintances, they're like, we're friends, and you're too deep into this to not be friends, and I want to repair this friendship and I want to talk about it. And I just said honestly that I don't because I'm sure that we could find a solution and a nice middle ground, and I've been trying to compromise as much as I could, but it really bothers me to see people making the same mistakes over and over again and hurting each other, and I care about all of y'all. So I don't want to be in there anymore. I'm giving up. I am putting up my flag. I am leaving. And that was a monumental thing for me, to find my limit to what I am looking for in a friend. And unfortunately, I'm not a perfect person, and I can't just say that I couldn't have changed and that we could have changed and grown together and become great people as a whole, for sure. But I'm looking for people that, first of all, want me too. You know, it's not this one-way effort where it's just like, oh, I kind of want to be your friend, I kind of don't want to be your friend in the way that you seem to want to be friends. I'm like, I want to be friends with people, hopefully to the same degree, and it doesn't have to be on the same timeline, but I'm like, I don't want to sit around here for your indecisiveness. I'm like, we passed the trial period in which we were figuring each other out. Now we are in the period where we make a decision, and I made mine. And that's all it takes. I mean, it takes one person. That's what kind of like the little story is about, is that it takes one person to step out of a friendship, but it takes two to make the friendship. And I'm having this very weird meta moment where I'm like, oh, it's just not that serious, but like I care about people, so it is that serious. And then it came to like my hometown friend group. And I've had tiffs, fights, quarrels, whatever you want to call it, with this one particular person all the time. Man, I have been literally bullying this guy since middle school. And why? Because he's a scrawny guy who sits in his own pity and self-misery, and he knows better and he doesn't do better, and that's like a top pet peeve of mine. And sometimes, yeah, I scroll on my phone too, but if you have the means and the time, and you have the time to complain about it again and again and again, and you don't do anything different, you are pissing me off. You know, I'm like, I don't want to just be your forever venting punching bag to talk about the problems that you don't solve, that you know the solution to. Be better. Don't be bitter, be better. And they finally started becoming a better person. They finally started taking steps to becoming a better person, and they stopped talking so bitterly about themselves and so pessimistically, and they got all the things they wanted. They started talking to a girl, they got a girlfriend, they got an internship. I'm like, this guy's on top of the world. And you know what he fucking tells me? He says, you know what? Every time I'm with you, you make me feel like shit. And I don't want to hang out with you. That's like as clear as a friend anti-declaration that I have ever seen. And of course there was details leading up to this where he was talking about like, oh, like I first of all, I recently made like an LA trip, which is a lot for me financially and also just physically, to go see my like just one friend. And recently I made a LA and slow trip to see multiple friends, and I kind of got like a pat on the ass for that, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Where it's just like, I bent over backwards to make this happen, and my friends cleared their schedule in order to see me as well. But I kind of realized that like these people are friends of convenience. Like they've never reached out for me. And there's an exception for one. One guy came out to visit me in college, and like that meant a lot to me. And another friend like always makes a very intentional effort to reach out. He sent me Popeyes on my birthday, and I'm not to say like, oh, make all your friendships transactional, but there needs to be mutual effort in the friendship. And I'll get into this later, where maybe there doesn't have to be, depending on the type of person you are and the affordances you have. But it wasn't that I like suddenly didn't want to be friends with these people. I just realized there wasn't much value for me going out of my way to go visit. You know, because like at least like friendship wise, I feel pretty solid with them, and I feel like that, you know, we all went to different colleges and we connect in the ways that we can. Like we're all just talking in the group chat, and then we'll see each other when we see each other. And like it didn't mean a lot for them to go visit, but one of my friends made it really clear for me that it meant a lot for him to go visit. He's pretty lonely, and at least to me, I'm like, I feel like I'm doing something when I go visit, and like and it's very valued, versus like when I show up to other friends, like, oh, it's cool, but like not necessary. Like I'm already pretty happy with my life, like as it is. So that's the type of the part of me that's like, I want to be needed, I want to be seen, I want to be desired, I want to feel supported. And you know what? Now I'm thinking about going to Hawaii to go visit another friend. I'm trying to scrape together the funds and work this summer so I can go to Hawaii for a week, because a friend made it clear that I was like wanted and desired. That made me happy. I want to go. All of that aside, this friend like says that to me, and I'm like, bro, I just reviewed this guy's resume like a little bit ago. I've been trying to help this guy make music, and of course he doesn't understand, but like it's a really busy time for me. I really struggled this past academic year, and like of course a little outlet of that is like spending time with your friends, but it was quite a bit of effort to support this friend. And even if the bullying was just genuine bullying and harassment to the friend, and this is a friend that I literally punched. I have quite literally punched this guy out of anger because I was so pissed with him. But over the years, I've told myself, even if I did not act like it, that I've always had his best interest at heart, that we've always bullied him to try to make him a better person, which it worked. Unfortunately, like Thankfully, he didn't kill himself, and that was a real conversation that we had. So glad that it didn't happen. But yeah, and other people, this is what actually bothered me, is it's okay with the bullying, but me in particular, he made it really clear that like he never wants to see me again. And I've changed. I don't bully this guy nearly as much as I used to. I've actually supported this guy in very tangible ways recently, in the past 2 years, and despite all of that, this guy is talking to me like this, and he's like, "Yo, you always make me feel like shit. Always." I have other particular qualms about his time management and how he communicates and how he makes me feel like shit for problems that he creates. Like when I say, hey, I want to spend time with my family this break, and my spring break is on in a different alignment than y'all's, and I also have midterms, so it'd be really great if we could plan stuff in advance so I can plan a trip back home around my midterm schedule and be able to spend time with y'all. Something I communicated, guess what? Week and 2 weeks in advance of their spring break, in which my spring break is off their time. So I, unfortunately, am not on break when they're on break. I'm on midterms when they're on break, but I still wanted to see them. And instead of being like, oh, okay, let's go book this yada yada time together, I get a message the day of, in which it is a commute to get me back home. Hey, let's go hang out this day. And they tag me, and I'm like, I can't make it. I said very clearly that I commuted this, yada yada, and they called me fake. I'm like, dude. Dude, come on. And that shouldn't really trigger me, but they kept going. Like, just kept ragging on me for not making time for people when it is such an intentional effort for me to make time for people. And I do it all the time. And I'm not the same person that I was, and I can't just like leave my schedule and all my days available for you to just like mosey on in. Okay, I had a girlfriend at the time, and I stood him up, quote unquote, because he showed up to my house randomly at 11 p.m. and wanted to see me 3 separate times after we went off to college, in which he didn't communicate any of this before to me. And then got mad at me that I stood him up because I was on Do Not Disturb and with my girlfriend and being present in the moment. And now he has a girlfriend, and he does the same fucking shit. Well, I don't drive to his house. But, you know, he doesn't communicate very well. Is how I will put it. And he gets really pissy at me for it and just clearly just never sees the errors in his ways and admits he's wrong unless somebody else who he actually respects says it. And that's kind of where I drew the line. You know, where this guy's just talking mad shit about me when all I've done is try to support him in recent years. And honestly, all I've tried to do overall throughout the years, because it's a pitiful thing when people know better and don't do better. It really pisses me off. I say, as I am sleep deprived right now. But, man, that is another friendship that I decided to cut off because I made intentional effort. I cared about him. I tried, you know, and he just made it really clear that he doesn't like the way that I speak. He doesn't like the way that I communicate. He doesn't like the way that I plan. He doesn't support me and my career ambitions. And there's nothing that I get out of him as a friend, and I've known him for the longest time, but I've known him for the longest time, so I wanted to support him unconditionally. Like, when you say things like, oh, you're such good friends that you're past the point of being friends, that's when like, we're just brothers now or whatever. Like, when you say some shit like that, where I'm like, oh, we just can't split apart, I'm like, I think, okay, you're my friend for life. You know? I had this false sense of security that you could just be with this friend, like, forever, and it's all, like, shit's all fun and giggles. But that's not the case. And I look at all of that and I'm like, I don't want to be friends with this person. There's nothing this person provides for me. And by provides, I mean like, this person doesn't make me happy. This person actually makes me feel like shit about myself for being in the right. Objectively speaking. So, that is my friend's recap for current. It begs the question, am I a good person? And which then begs the question, define a good person. And ultimately, I don't think I'll find a satisfactory answer. But my friends are still people that I want to go out of my way to spend time with, people who make me feel desired or seen, people who I value. And where I start to get iffy on the transactional part or the mutual effort part of a relationship is that, well, for a long time, I did not provide my family anything. I was just a baby, and then a toddler, and then a little brother, and then a really annoying little piece of shit. And they still believe in you and care for you. And that kind of value I would consider family. These people who believe in you unconditionally. These people who want to see you succeed no matter what. And sometimes they talk to you pretty harshly in order to make you more likely to succeed. And they want to push you in the right direction. They want to see you grow as individuals. And then they tell you how you need to hear it. A very beautiful quote that my dad said. The goal was to point you in the right direction and give you feedback without breaking you down. And I broke down a lot as a kid. I don't know if it shows in the crash outs. I don't think I've cried on this channel, but I've definitely talked about crying. Like, I've been a very intentional effort to manage my emotions and all the feelings that you have as an individual. And then that second part, the people believing in you before they have a reason to believe in you. Special shout out to my sisters, who I know that I've just been like the greatest piece of shit for the very longest time. But another beautiful quote that I heard. It is the people who clap before you perform. And it has nothing to do with time. And it has nothing to do with your particular relationship with those people. It's the people who choose you again and again and continue to choose you and believe in you, even when you can't believe in yourself. Even when there's no reason to believe in you. That's mattered a lot to me. It's a few great friends that I have out there. Of course, I won't name drop them. But it's mattered a lot to me when they would tell me, actually happened very recently, I don't feel like I can mess up this friendship. Or I don't ever see us not being friends. And it's something that I've been told a lot. And whenever I start to like fear that I'm a bad person, or that the way that I express myself is objectively wrong and nobody should talk the way that I do, is when people are like, oh, that's just Brad. Or that's the way that he talks. And I talk very authentically. I talk very honestly. And there's people that are accepting me like, yeah, I'm low-key messing with you for that. Or I know that you're always going to tell me the truth. And sometimes it angers me in the moment, but ultimately I needed to hear it. And I know that when you compliment me, it matters more because I know that you're also willing to roast the shit out of me. And it doesn't work for everyone, you know? And that's a difficult reality that I've had to face where I'm like, oh, you're just not meant for everyone. Like, you know, unfortunately, not everyone's going to be receptive to the particular way that I support, critique, and receive feedback. And I'm not going to be receptive to everyone's way of criticizing me, which was made clear by the way that I have lost friends and chose to leave friends. And I like to believe that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. That I used to believe that you can get along with anyone and that I could make friends with anyone if I could just malleate and choose to be a certain person for someone. But I don't want people to fall in love with a performance. I want people to clap for me. And while it sounds like a very selfish thing to somebody who would think of it a long time ago, I want to write my own story. I want to live my own life. I want to be my own person. And I want to pick and choose whose people's judgment that I value. Of course, I will hear all and any criticism, but you hear a lot of advice, you hear a lot of feedback, and you ignore most of it because you believe in yourself, and that's self-confidence. And a lot of people have given me reason to believe in myself. A lot of people that I look up to. And I use that as my argument, as my namesake, as my keepsake, as my ignorance, where to some people I may be their Santa Claus, to other I may be their Hitler. And if you've ever heard the quote, like even Hitler had people who loved him at home. But no matter which side of that I stand on, I want to firmly believe that I am somebody worth believing in. And that I inspire that same belief in others. And when I hear quotes like that, when I get feedback like that, it really validates the life that I've led so far, to talk authentically, to speak authentically, to be honest and truthful, and to hold myself vulnerably in front of others. Because that has meant that for the friendships and the family that has remained, they get the most authentic, clear vision of me. And the feedback hits close to home, but I develop the most as a person. And I hopefully give the best experience of myself as a friend for these people. And I want them to know that I support and I choose them all the way. And that has been what I've learned so far about friends in my own life. So, to the people that remain in my life, I want y'all to know that I love y'all, and that hurts for me to say as someone from an Asian background. I don't know how else to express it, but I will wish to choose these people again and again and again and again. And I don't see that changing. I've felt that way before, and unfortunately, that is not a notion in which is universal, or that is not subject to the deterioration of the test of time. But like, people change, and of the versions of the people that I know now, all amazing people, and I hope nothing but the best for them. So, yeah, okay. I'm running dry on this rant for friends. I could crash out more about things that have angered me, about the individuals that I've lost, but ultimately, I don't think they're bad people either. I just think they weren't meant for me. And they have people that love them at home, and they have people who value them incredibly. Some of the people that I still value incredibly value them. And I used to tell myself that I'm like, oh, I need to value those people too. And then I don't need to. That's their life to live, not mine. And I want them to know clearly where I stand, because unfortunately, as somebody put it, which I don't like, isn't it better that we know who likes and dislikes each other? Because now we don't have to fake pretend that we like each other. And I'm like, well, I don't like burning bridges. Not good for my LinkedIn. Not good for connections. You know who's going to be useful. You know who's going to change. You don't want to leave this impression on people forever that they are somebody who's never going to be valuable or worth your time, or that you never want to support them. Because even if I really don't like you, I'm like, if I could support a friend or a friend of a friend, even if I don't like you, I'm like, it matters to the friend that you're supported. And I want them to know that I'm available as an outlet, as a resource. And I don't know. That's not how I want to do things. I lead with brute honesty and vulnerability, but I draw the line when I feel like I can be misunderstood and misconstrued. And I'm trying to find out where to toe that line every single day. And okay. All right. Bye. Yeah, I'm done. Enjoy.